What a wild night of wrestling it was this past Saturday as AEW hosted its biggest show of the year, all in Texas. Not to mention that the WWE also held a couple of events of its own with NXT Great American Bash, of course, Saturday night's main event taking place that very evening. But in today's video, I wanted to tackle AEW All In, one of the biggest shows of all time for All Elite Wrestling, for sure the biggest show of the year. Traditionally, when we talk about these post-show reactions, we do a live stream, but being that there was a lot of content this past Saturday, I had a lot of time to catch up and see what just transpired in the world of wrestling. Obviously, you can see different hat in this type of video where I'm more traditionally wearing maybe something San Francisco related, but nonetheless, Hangman Adam Page defeats Jon Moxley, finally getting rid of the AEW World Championship from his clutches that he's held all the way back when, since October at Wrestle Dream. It was a story that a lot of fans were becoming sour on, and we're getting tired of seeing the Death Riders on top. But just like anything in professional wrestling, sometimes it's best to wait and be patient, because over the course of these last several months, we have seen the likes of Kenny Omega, Swerve Strickland, Will Ospreay, Adam Copeland. We've seen many people come and fail against Jon Moxley, all for it to be the big payoff of Hangman Adam Page, the anxious millennial cowboy, to win back that AEW World Championship that he hasn't held in 3 years. It was quite a moment. We knew it was going to be some sort of a spectacle, being that it was a Texas death matchup. Anything goes, no pinfall, no disqualification. The only way to win, submission, or if your opponent could not answer the count of 10. Nothing short of a spectacle that it was. I enjoyed the matchup very much. We saw a little bit of run-ins here. Obviously, we knew the Death Riders were going to have their group members involve themselves, people like Claudio Castagnoli, Wheeler Yuta, Marina Shafir, even their associate Gabe Kidd had gotten involved, and the Young Bucks, who we'll get to in a bit here, even threw in their 2 cents as well. But it was a long list of baby faces, a little bit of like an Avengers Endgame type of an ending for this story that helped Hangman get the upper hand on the Death Riders. We saw someone like Will Ospreay come out and trying to help out someone that he told him after Double or Nothing that when he were to lose to Hangman Adam Page, he would help him in his quest to defeat Jon Moxley. However, it wouldn't take too long for them to dispose of Will Ospreay, giving him a nasty chair to the neck. They're similar to what they did to Samoa Joe in the opening contest. So we don't know how long Will Ospreay will be out of action because of this vicious attack by the Death Riders. But over the course of the matchup, we also saw a returning Bryan Danielson, who we had not seen since Wrestle Dream all the way back in October. He was the last man to hold that AEW World Championship prior to Jon Moxley getting his hands on that briefcase. So when we see Bryan Danielson come out of the audience to come help Hangman Adam Page, it was a big moment, a euphoric pop for Bryan Danielson. I did think it was also pretty funny that apparently there's been reports in the news that the WWE has asked Bryan to stop doing the yes chant that had become so popular in the WWE. And what does he do? The first thing is he comes out in the audience, takes off the mask, and immediately does the yes chant. I thought that was very funny, very ironic, and of course Bryan Danielson putting, again, a little bit of a helping hand for Adam Page, but that wouldn't be the only one to emerge from a surprise appearance. We did see a short little video package of one Darby Allin, who, as you remember, was on a mission to climb Mount Everest. And how did he return? Well, by the rafters, similar to how his mentor Sting would come back in WCW. Darby Allin, a huge pop as well, getting the better of Jon Moxley as well, and helping Hangman Adam Page stay in the fight. But ultimately, the one that meant the most, I thought, was Swerve Strickland. We know about this storied rivalry between Page and Swerve. It led to a home invasion, a home being burnt down, Texas death matches, all type of drama between these two. But this past week on Collision, we saw that segment with Swerve and Hangman in the back, in the locker room, and Hangman basically asking for forgiveness, really, realizing that we got to come together on a common page here in order to defeat the Death Riders, leaving the chain at the feet of Swerve Strickland. And ironically enough, it would be the very chain that Swerve brought to give to Hangman in order to defeat Jon Moxley. He wraps the chain around the neck of Jon Moxley and forces him to tap, which I thought was a great moment for AEW because it really solidified a full year of a tyrannical run by Jon Moxley, who was portrayed as this vicious, heartless heel, but in his final moments as champion, no hesitation, tapped out, and people were saying it's like a coward's way out. So a great bit of storytelling there involving Jon Moxley and his character development over the course of this past calendar year. Nonetheless, Hangman Adam Page finally gets the job done. And it was a great moment here, too, where he has the briefcase and is struggling to open the briefcase. And you have this one moment where his music is being played, and right where the crescendo of the notes hit, he opens the briefcase, raises the AEW World Championship to the adulation of the crowd, and it was an awesome moment there. And also, I got to give a quick shout out to them as well for having him come out to the original Hangman theme that he had always had during his AEW run. I'm a fan of the newer one as well, but that original Hangman theme song really hits home. Big moment, Hangman and Page on top of the wrestling world, at least in AEW. What will happen to the Death Riders? What will be the next feud for Hangman Adam Page? And how will his friendship or partnership evolve with Swerve Strickland? A lot of questions to be asked. But one thing we know for sure is that the next champion, or the next challenger, I should say, could come in the form of one MJF, who had won the Casino Gauntlet matchup here for the men, guaranteeing him a championship opportunity whenever he chooses. So maybe it'll be on the docket for Hangman Adam Page. We'll see when that comes into play. But all this talk about championships, and we have to talk about the unification matchup for the International Championship and the Continental Championship between Kazuchika Okada and Kenny Omega, a matchup that, in my opinion, was going to deliver no matter what. Now, where it stands in the listings of their 5 matches, I'll leave that up to you. But for me, this was a fantastic matchup. A highlight reel, a showcase of 2 of the best to do it today, Okada and Omega, never failed to deliver. But what I thought was a surprising move here is having Okada go over. I for sure thought they were going to go with Kenny here, given the whole diverticulitis issue, the angle that they had ran with Okada causing internal bleeding with Kenny. Everything led me to believe that, hey, we're going to give this strap to Kenny Omega. Now, in hindsight, knowing that Okada went over, maybe it makes sense because Kenny Omega doesn't necessarily need the accolades, doesn't need the championships, while Okada, still very much a force in AEW, hasn't taken that next step to the main title. So maybe this is just a way to kind of groom him into that AEW World title picture. And I mean, a potential matchup between him and Adam Page, sign me up for that as well. Another championship matchup that I thought delivered, of course, ending the triple main event, would be Mercedes Moné versus Timeless Toni Storm for the AEW Women's World Championship. One of the best women's matchups of the year, could go down as one of the best women's matchups of all time. It delivered in every aspect that you could imagine: the athleticism, the story, the drama, the violence. I mean, Mercedes Moné is six. She's won 6 championships for a reason, folks. And then as for Timeless Toni Storm, she may not be holding 6 championships, but she's been holding this company on her back for the better part of almost 2 years now. One of the best characters they have, consistently putting on fantastic performances in the ring, and her backstage segments, her interviews, just the characteristics of Timeless Toni Storm has been such a wild and fun ride. I'm glad they went with Toni going over here. If you had watched my predictions video last week, you would know I picked Mercedes Moné because I thought they were going to keep running with this, money collection of championships. But Moné takes the loss here. Timeless Toni Storm defeats her. And again, a great matchup that saw her deliver 5 pile drivers. 5 pile drivers to Mercedes Moné. So after that 5th one, I knew, okay, she has to win. She can't kick out of 5 pile drivers. That's insanity. But Toni Storm goes over. And just like Hangman Adam Page has a Casino Gauntlet winner on the horizon in the form of Athena, who of course is one of the longest reigning champions of this generation, being that she's held the Ring of Honor Women's World Championship for nearly 1,000 days now. The Forever Champion, they're calling her. And again, similar to how Toni's been carrying AEW on her back, Athena's been carrying Ring of Honor on hers. So whenever this matchup takes place, just know that, similar to Mercedes Moné and Toni Storm, it'll definitely deliver. It could potentially be a match of the year candidate. I just want to give a quick shout out to Dustin Rhodes, who had won the TNT Championship, his first singles title in AEW. It was a surprise win for him. I mean, the original TNT matchup was going to be Kyle Fletcher challenging Adam Cole, but unfortunately, Adam Cole suffering a little bit of an injury scare here. Won't be competing for quite some time. We wish him the very best. Adam Cole, one of the better wrestlers, again, that AEW has, unfortunately has been bitten by the injury bug once again. Had to relinquish his title, so they changed it into a fatal four-way matchup that would include Kyle Fletcher, Sammy Guevara, Dustin Rhodes, and Danny Garcia. A fun matchup. Energy was there. There was a lot of interaction between four individuals who I thought were great selections for the matchup. For me personally, I thought it was going to be Kyle Fletcher winning the championship. And if not him, maybe Danny Garcia. I thought we put Sammy Guevara and Dustin Rhodes in that matchup just because of the Texas appeal. But they go with Dustin Rhodes to win the title, an ultimate good moment, a feel good moment for Dustin. It was cool to see his sons there, as well as the Von Erich boys as well. Just a real good feel good moment here for AEW All In. Also, I want to highlight the tag team matchup between Swerve Strickland and Will Ospreay versus the Young Bucks. Again, on paper, this matchup had no chance of failing to deliver. For the best that they have in this company, the best tag team of this generation versus two of the best stars in AEW and maybe in the world in general. A great matchup. The drama was there because we knew that the Young Bucks had placed their EVP title on the line versus Will Ospreay and Swerve Strickland's ability to challenge for the World Championship for the next year. I thought we were going to go with the heel route here and have the Young Bucks go over and continue that drama between Will and Swerve, but didn't go that way. It's a fresh start for AEW. There is no EVP status here for the Young Bucks. No Death Riders holding the championships at this point. Baby faces galore, with championships being that Hangman Adam Page, Toni Storm, Dustin Rhodes. The only major heel really that is holding the title is Okada. And aside from that, I'm okay with it. Okada's a great competitor. AEW All In delivered an excellent pay-per-view, which is what they've become to known by. Although they get certain criticism for their style of pro wrestling, I think the one thing you cannot criticize is the production of their pay-per-views. They know how to put on a good pay-per-view, having fantastic matches across the card, moments that will certainly satisfy longtime viewers and newcomers as well to the product. So I'm hoping to hear from you guys in the comments below on what you thought about AEW All In. Did you enjoy the pay-per-view? If you haven't seen it, maybe go out of your way and check it out just to see the main event alone being Hangman Adam Page versus Jon Moxley. If you enjoyed this short little review of AEW All In, make sure to give the video a like, comment down below some of your thoughts on AEW All In, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already in order to stay up to date with all things pro wrestling and joining the J area and the discussions that we have regarding pro wrestling. Of course, my name is Jose Ramos Jr. Thank you for joining me today, and I will be seeing you all in the next one.